Hey, what's going on, Impact Student Ministries? Anthony V here, your student ministries pastor, and all of you that are watching this Sunday or later or sooner, whatever it may be. Thank you for joining us, and we're going to actually talk about something that I think is really important for us to see, and that is the fact that Jesus sees potential in all of us. He sees potential in you. He sees potential in me. He sees potential in all people. And the reason why our relationship with Jesus is so personal is because Jesus knows your potential. Now, it's very true that we can make change happen with the things that we're doing in our lives, especially things that we don't like what we're doing or things that we know are wrong. But it's so much easier to change those things if you know that someone sees potential in you to change. So it's first is the biggest thing, which I'll talk about here in a second, is recognizing that you can change the things that you're doing. You can change your attitude. You can change a lot of stuff in your lives, the things that you want to change. But the thing that'll help that come along a lot easier and a lot more solidifying and actually happen is when you know that someone sees your potential, sees that you have potential. And Jesus knows that you all have potential. So real quick, how did you meet your best friend? I love asking this question because usually the answer is that you don't remember. Like most people don't usually remember how they meet their best friends. Now some people do, and congrats to you if you do remember how you met your best friend. Say I had this really good friend in middle school, and we lived in the same neighborhood. We literally hung out all the time. We hung out a lot. He didn't really like to talk much. He didn't really like to be in front of crowds. He kept to himself, and you usually get really kind of nervous in big groups. I mean, most people don't like group projects in school, and we got assigned to this group project, and I remember that it was literally, I think, our first group project in middle school, and I remember that he was the one that was our presenter. He was chosen by the teacher to be a presenter, and literally it freaked him out. Like the day that we were doing the presentation, he threw up before class. And I'm laughing because I just remember it so vividly, but like, honestly, it's not funny. I mean, I feel sorry for him. I did, honestly. But see, one time he even mentioned that he didn't think that he would ever get over it. Get over the feeling of what it felt like to be in front of the class. And I hated to admit it now, but I'm pretty sure I agreed with him at the time. The crazy thing, though, is in high school, he was a completely different person. He changed. He was outgoing. He had no problem being in front of people. And it seemed like there wasn't a sport that he wasn't involved in, or activity he wasn't involved in, or a group that he didn't know or hang out with. And it was totally crazy because it was completely different than that person I knew in middle school. And maybe you've experienced, you've had experiences like this. And maybe you had a friend who used to be a Sacramento Kings guy, right? Solid all the way through. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they become a Golden State Warriors #1 fan. I won't boo because you might have some Golden State Warrior fans out there, and I get that. But it's weird, right? You go from one extreme to the other. Maybe you know a girl who used to be so shy in middle school, and now she's super outgoing and knows and literally talks to everybody. And maybe you know someone who went from being a jerk to being a kind, nice person, or the opposite, from being a kind, nice person to a jerk. Maybe you yourself would admit that you're a drastically different person than you were a couple of years ago. See, if you answer that question with, well, obviously everyone changes, then congratulations, you've got it down. On one hand, it's cool that people can change, that can become different people, right? And on the other hand, it can be kind of strange. But no matter how you feel about it, this will always be true. People change. People are always going to change. We change as we grow and the life experiences we have. Again, see, people change, and we all believe this, except when we don't. Except when we don't. Here's what I mean. When it comes to people, people's bad qualities and traits, we rarely believe that they'll change. It seems impossible, we think, when we think things like, my coach is a jerk and he's been a jerk this whole time and he'll always be a jerk, right? Or my sister will always be a mess. She's always going to lose things, forget things, and be a general disaster. Or my dad will never not have a bad temper. That guy at school will never not be a bully. That girl will never not be a stoner. See, when it comes to the things about other people that we don't like, we don't believe that they can become different people. But if we're all being honest, we feel the same way about ourselves. Think about this. Really think about it. Do you have something that you wish you could change about yourself? but you don't feel like you can? I'm not talking about your height or your eye color. I'm talking about things like this. Maybe it's an addiction or a bad habit you can't get rid of. It's something you know, or at least you think you should stop, but you don't feel like you can ever stop. Maybe you tried to stop before and you didn't, and you did good for a little while, but you found yourself back in the same old place, and now you think, forget it. What's the point? Why should I even try? Maybe it's a situational thing. You have people who really frustrate you, and eventually you find yourself blowing up and losing your temper, and you wish that you didn't struggle so much with anger. Or you wish you didn't say the stuff you say when you're angry. Or maybe there's someone that you're extremely jealous of, and you wish that you felt differently, but you don't. And you don't feel like that's ever going to change. Maybe it's a label. Maybe there's something that you've done, a mistake that you carry with you, and you feel like people will see you a certain way, and there's no way that you can change that. Or you feel like you're in a category, people like you are always going to fill in the blank, whatever the label you feel like you have. I mean, if we had a magic button that allowed us to change something about our lives, we'd all love to make a difference, wouldn't we? We'd all like to change something, wouldn't we? But unfortunately, no such button exists, at least not on Amazon or anything like that I can find, because I've looked just for the sake of looking. Sometimes we just feel powerless when it comes to certain things about ourselves, about us. Not too poor on more bad news, but here's what makes this even worse. There are already things about our circumstances that we can't make different. You can't choose your parents or where you live. You don't control how much money your family makes or what assignments your teacher gives out. You can't change your age. So when you already have a bunch of other things you can't control, it's hard to feel like you can control the things that you struggle with. If you're anything like me, after a while, you're tempted to just give up. We all do it. And by the way, there's a quick and easy way to know that you've given up. You don't even have to think about it. Just ask if you've used these phrases lately about yourself or maybe even about someone else. It is what it is. It is what it is one of the key phrases to kind of know when you've given up on something. Or also, it's just who I am. I'm acting a certain way, someone knows something, it's just who I am. You've given up on thinking that you can change those things. If you've used these two phrases lately, or if you use these about yourself or about someone else. Maybe you say it differently, but the idea is the same. It is what it is, and I am who I am. Nothing can really change. And that leads us right back to a guy we've been talking about for about a month or so now, named Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus, he's this guy that we've talked about. If you haven't heard of him, I hope you look him up and read about him in Luke 19. But we're going to finish up talking about him today and move on to our next series next week. But for the last month or so, we've been talking about this dude named Zacchaeus. He was a bad guy with a bad reputation. Despite all that Zacchaeus had done, Jesus shocked the crowd and went to Zacchaeus' house. And see, in Luke 19:7, all the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." That's what they said. He has gone to be the guest of a sinner. People were saying this under their breath. They were saying this probably out loud enough for Jesus to hear and Zacchaeus to hear. And see, hold on. Think of a huge celebrity, the most famous and awesome one you can think of, right? Now, imagine this person came to your school and picked out the bully at your school and said, "Let's go hang out. I'll mentor you and spend time with you." You'd be like, what? How is that even possible? Why him? That's kind of what was happening here with the people in the crowd. They're like, why in the world would Jesus go hang out with that guy? Of course they muttered. It felt crazy. Now imagine that Zacchaeus, you're a tax collector who cheats your own people out of money, and nobody likes you, and I mean nobody likes you. And there's a man that some people call the Messiah, and some people call the great teacher. He's legit famous. A massive crowd is gathered just to get a glimpse of him. And he chooses you. He chooses you, the Zacchaeus, the tax collector. Excuse me. Gotta get a drink as we continue on here. That's better. So anyway, so he chooses you. He doesn't tell He doesn't yell at you in the crowd. He doesn't tell you all the things that that you have to change. He knows who you are. But more than that, he sees who you could be. He sees your potential. It'd be jolting, right? See, it was. And look how Zacchaeus responds. This is what Zacchaeus says. In Luke 19:8, he says, Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times the amount." This is amazing. It's awesome that Zacchaeus took this step to repay people. But this outward step was really just a reflection of what already took place in his heart. Something happened to Zacchaeus in the moment Jesus spoke to him. That's when it became personal. Jesus saw who Zacchaeus could be, and it helped imagine a different future. It helped him imagine a different future. When someone believes in you, when someone believes that you can be different than you are now, it changes things. When someone sees your potential and not just your mistakes, it helps you to believe change is possible. And that's what Jesus did for Zacchaeus. See, potential in you is what Jesus sees. Think about it. Jesus was God. He walked the earth to give people a picture of what God is like. And Jesus showed us in his interaction with Zacchaeus that we don't have to change in order to be okay with God. No matter what we struggle with, he sees who we can become. He meets us where we are. Think of it this way. It's personal because Jesus knows your potential. Look at what happens next in the story. You see, in Luke 19:9, Jesus says this to him. He says this to Zacchaeus, "Today's salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost." Wow. Jesus said, "I'm here to save you. I'm here to show that you have potential. I'm here to have a personal relationship with you." I love that line. Today's salvation has come to this house. The day radical change came to the life of Zacchaeus. Why? Because Jesus walked right up to him and treated him like he had the potential to be different than what he had always been. That's what Jesus does. He pursues people. He pursues you. And he offers his help and strength so they can change. So we can change. And because of Jesus, anyone can radically change. Anybody can radically be different. In areas of our life where you and I want to be different, we can start by looking to Jesus. Years after Jesus walked the earth, the Apostle Paul said it in this way. In 2 Corinthians 5:17, he says, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come and the old has gone. The new is here." Think about that. A new creation found in Christ. In other words, change happens through the work of Jesus. We can try to muster up all of our own strengths, try to make ourselves different, but why rely on our own strength when we have access to the Creator, Jesus? Why not partner with Jesus to make changes? He sees potential in you, in us. He's more powerful than we are. Zacchaeus didn't wake up one day and just decide to change. He encountered Jesus. And it became personal when he realized Jesus saw potential in him. Jesus saw he could be different than he had always been. And then always had been and always was. See, so what does this mean for us? I think it means we need to do 2 things. The first thing is we need to believe that we can change. Believing that we can change is perfect. It's scientific fact that if you believe that you can change, your chances of actually changing get way better. So start there. Believe that it's possible because of Jesus to stop that habit, control your anger, or to fix that relationship. Whatever it is for you that you might have thought you didn't have the potential to change, then take one step, the first step towards making that change. For you, it might be, talking to someone who can help you, and it might be praying about it, or even if it's setting an alarm on your phone to remind you that you can change. I want you to take that step this week. See, I do that. My alarm, I don't even know how on my phone I can have so many alarms, but I do set so many alarms for so many things. And I actually like that idea to put a reminder on your phone every day to say, you can change. This is the thing that you need to do. This is the steps you need to take. Take something like that and put that into action. The second thing is believe that others can change too. See, if we believe this about ourselves, that we're capable of change, the next step, right, is shifting our thinking to believe that other people are capable of their own changes in their lives. The people around Zacchaeus muttered, most likely because they had never imagined a different Zacchaeus. They had no idea it was possible. Ask yourselves this question: who is someone I can't imagine changing for the better? Then just allow your mind to consider the possibility that Jesus can radically change anyone. And I want you to do one thing to help them this week. That person we were just talking about that you didn't think could radically change. Maybe in a text to cheer them up. Maybe it's finding time to fix that relationship, or maybe it's making sure to pray for them regularly. Do one thing for them, even if it's small. It's so easy to just go through life assuming you can't change, and neither can anyone else. But that simply isn't true. Zacchaeus became a different person when Jesus treated him differently. He changed into someone the people around him could hardly recognize, and that's just that's just as possible for you and for every single human around you. Just know this. Making a change is so more likely to happen when you have support. Don't walk through your journey alone. Consider sharing what you'd like to change with your small group. We have our small groups, and we meet every Tuesday for our 1A, which is our middle schools, at 7 on Zoom. If you don't have that link, email me at anthonyv@impact.cc. For our high schools, it's Wednesday at 7 on our Zoom link. Same thing. If you guys don't have our Zoom link, email me. After I verify who you are, I'll send you that link. And then on top of that, you can always email me any questions you have. But it's really, really important to get engaged in our small groups. I know it's hard right now, especially with the Zoom meetings because of COVID-19. It is what it is. I just used that saying, right? Feel helpless, like we can't do anything about it. But see, the crazy thing is that in our small groups, the idea is that we can talk and interact and enjoy each other's company. You can have someone you can talk to and ask for prayer and to help you through your journeys. And so, in our small groups, if you haven't got connected yet, connect with me. Or if you don't feel comfortable opening up in a group, try talking with your small group leaders one-on-one. Most of the students that come to our group and that come to small groups, they actually have their leaders' numbers. If you don't have it, get with me. I can get it to you. Text me. Talk to me one-on-one. We can meet for coffee or something, obviously with all the restrictions. Reach out to a trusted adult and let them know what's been going on in your life. See, Jesus sees potential in you that you may not see in yourselves yet. So does your leaders, and so do I, and so do Angela, and so do your church leaders, and maybe even some of your friends. And that's why we meet in groups each week. So you'll have people who are close, who will know you personally enough to see past where you are now and help you imagine the future that God has in mind for you. I thank you guys so much for joining us today on this message. I thank you for being part of our ISM YouTube channel. I know we had a little bit of break, but we're back now. This is your first one kicking off, getting ready to finish this year strong. We're starting a new series next weekend. Once again, if you need anything from me, you need to talk, you need to pray, you need to let me know something's going on in your life you need help with, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Once again, anthonyv@impact.cc. Don't forget to subscribe below if you haven't already so you get reminders when they pop up. And if you are a student, 7th and 8th grade, you guys meet on Tuesdays, 9th through 12th. My high schoolers, you guys meet on Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, Zoom meetings. For now, until things change, please reach out. Let us know what you need. You guys take care. You have an awesome and blessed week. And I hope to see you back here next weekend and during our midweeks. So you guys take care, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.